Hi, everybody. Welcome to another chat to Chaudhry. I hope you're safe. Well, today, I'm delighted to be joined by David Keane, who is Director for Pharmaceutical Microbiology at Ecolab. But we're not going to be talking about Ecolab today because he's also chair for Pharmig. And so we're going to learn a little bit more about Pharmig today, but also learn more about their upcoming European one-day conference, which is planned for the 19th of September in the Netherlands. And this is a brand new event for them. So we do a quick review or preview of the event and find out what's happening at the event. So David, first of all, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while, but
Yeah, it has been a while. In fact, I thoroughly enjoyed the last time we met, which was in Nottingham when you were hosting the Farming Awards in the evening in your black tie. You were a fantastic compere, I must say. So, but viewers, just as an aside, if you haven't been to the Farming event and gone to the awards, I recommend going just to hear David do the comparing, because he's excellent. So he's a real showman. You never tell. But anyway, David, moving on though, let's talk about farming a little bit for people not familiar with farming. Would you mind giving viewers an overview of who Pharmig are and what you do as an organization?
of course. So Pharmig it's a not-for-profit organization. It's over 30 years old. It started off in the UK, but we do conferences in India. We've been in Europe for a while, just Eastern Europe, Ireland, and we're looking to grow our sort of geographical footprint. The purpose of Pharmig is to get microbiologists in a room to talk shop because everyone's had the same issues. We've had sterility test failures. People have got problems with biofilm, but everyone seems to think it's some sort of trade secret. So the idea of Pharmig is really it's networking. We get world-class speakers in to discuss the subject, and then hopefully that then gets people to talk about problems shared and burdens that people have had. And we get a lot of experts in the room. We often get a lot of people who are very new to industry. And then that knowledge is pooled, it's shared, and things generally, hopefully, get better. So we do conferences, we do publications, we do online training, and all of it is it's mostly focused on pharmaceuticals, but we do stuff in healthcare, we do stuff in cosmetics as well. But if there's a micro problem and you don't know how to solve it, then come to Pharmig and we'll be able to find someone who can.
Fantastic.
It's a 1980s show.
Now, let's talk about your upcoming event in the Netherlands. So, I know that this is something you've been hoping to do for quite a while, and COVID actually put a damper on it, I think,
It did,
reading
yes.
the website. So, what's driven you to do that in the first place? I know you to increase the footprint, but why is Europe important to farming?
So first of all, you are right. COVID has scuppered plans. We were going to do this in 2020, along with a lot of other people. People were no longer doing things. So, and Pharmig, because it's a networking event, yes, we do a lot of activities on Zoom or on Teams or whatever, but it's not quite the same as that discussion at the bar afterwards or with some of the suppliers in a hall. So it misses some of that magic that we think Pharmig provides. We've been in Europe, certainly in the Balkans for many years. And again, COVID put paid to that. So again, we're looking to resurrect over there. And then we've always felt that we get lots of European speakers and we get lots of European delegates who come to our events in Ireland and the UK. And they've always talked about we should do this in Europe. So we're a member-led organization. The members pay and they give us direction. If they want us to do something in Europe, then we will do something in Europe. So that's the principal reason. Suppliers, people, delegates want this, so that's why we're coming, essentially.
Right. And in terms of the European event, I mean, I know it's a one-day conference. So what are some of the topics which will be covered at the event?
So it's not just death by steriles. I know Annex 1 goes live today, and we will be discussing Annex 1. We're going to be talking about CCS, but we also do a lot for our non-steriles as well. So we're going to have discussions inevitably with non-steriles on water systems, biofilms. we got speakers who will talk about a variety of different topics. We've got ex-regulators, we've got big pharma, so we've got some speakers from AstraZeneca, but we've also got some of the more niche specialist stuff. So we've got Quell coming over, who specialize in cell and gene therapy. And then Pharmig, a lot of his expertise in Pharmig comes from our suppliers as well, and our exhibitors. So we'll have Charles River talking as well, and along with Intubio, who will be talking about artificial intelligence and the impact that will have on micro, which should be significant given how ancient our science is.
So, I mean, you're a good person to ask. I mean, and I know you're well traveled in terms of going all over the place to talk. Are some of the issues in Europe very different to the issues, say, in the UK or say in the States or other parts of the world? Do you find this sort of specific regions have their own issues compared to other regions, or is it pretty much the same across the board?
No, there are regional differences. Most of what I do is spent working with people. Most of the micro issues that I deal with in my professional line of duty are to do with people getting it wrong. And normally it's a misunderstanding or a lack of training, but mostly misunderstanding. So you see quite often you see a lot of cultural differences in different parts of the world. So between UK and Europe, you get pretty much the same. The further east you go, the more you get differences of opinion, difference of culture, and how people perceive leadership versus management. And that often drives interesting behaviors in clean rooms. And you get something similar in the US, where it's more of a top-down approach in terms of management style and who's responsible. In terms of the actual physical micro challenges, there's a lot of alignment between Europe and the US. And there's a lot of differences. There's a huge amount of cell and gene therapy growth in the US, for example, but a lot of sort of the expertise that I see, it develops in Europe and kind of moves across. So you get all the little technical hubs, things like like around Cambridge and Oxford and other parts of Europe as well. So subtle differences and a lot of similarities. For the microbiologists who might listen to this interview, I'm going to say the classic example of it depends.
All right. Well, I'm sure they'll be watching this, nodding their head, knowing exactly what you mean by that. Now, you mentioned, and we were just talking off camera, that obviously Annex 1 officially goes live in terms of the updates and so on. There was a lot of talk about it, obviously, a year ago when it first got announced, and everyone was talking about, what people need to do and prepare and so on. So, again, from your perspective, looking out, do you think most companies are now sort of pretty much up to speed with Annex 1 and what they need to do, or do you think there's still quite a lot of work to do?
There's three camps, I think, of which the middle camp is probably where most people are. So the first camp is prepared, done it, go live is today, and they are happy. Happy insofar as everyone is waiting for a regulatory inspection to give the regulator's definition of all this additional text. So I think that's going to cause a few headaches and bumps along the way.
Sure.
The biggest camp, I think, will be the group that is mostly ready, but have some queries or some headaches about how you apply this paragraph against the way that we do this bit of technology. And then I think, well, I know there is a very, very small minority of ostriches who have stuck their head in the sand and are probably waiting to be told what to do rather than preparing and doing it correctly, which will be a bit more messy and interesting.
And do you think, and forgive me for asking, because we haven't prepared this for you, so I'm just throwing these at David off the cuff. So I'm putting him on the spot really in this. You mentioned obviously there's that middle group which may have some sticky questions that they still want to try and resolve. Is there any part of Annex 1 you think which has sort of led to more of those stickier questions? Because there was a lot of stuff in there, wasn't there? So, is there one particular you think that people have had more queries about than say other parts of the update?
I think one of the noisiest ones going through the whole review process and industry review would be PUPSIT. So how you get that sterilization piece done, how do you control those filters? And I know there's been a lot of headaches around how people perform PUPSIT when you've got something like an isolator system. Do you build a PUPSIT system outside the isolator? How do you handle those filters? How do you break it up? So I think that's part of the, an ongoing headache. I think for new people or new processes and products that hit Annex 1, so a company that's traditionally done some, dare I say it, old-fashioned open aseptic processing, but they have a new product coming in and they're going to have to embrace isolators or RABs. I think that will be a headache, if only because it's a different way of working, it's a different headache. But as with all things, suppliers, experts, consultants, they're out there to help. It's just about trying to find their home. And I think in terms of microbiology, just to draw things back to Pharmig, I don't think there's a huge amount that's changed, if only because we're so slow at change anyway in microbiology. I mean, we're still using agar plates. There is still emphasis on rapid methods, which we'll talk about in our conference, specifically on the sterility test. We do touch on artificial intelligence, but again, I don't think there's going to be significant impact for Annex 1 on that. But if there is, well, this conference that we're hosting is the perfect place to come and discuss it. We've got ex-inspectors there. We've got suppliers. So come along and share your worries with us, and hopefully we can help soothe them.
A beautiful segue there, David. I'm really impressed about that. But one question I will ask you though, because being a layperson, when you said PUPSIT, what's actually PUPSIT mean then, and what is it?
It's about how you sterilize filters. So
Right.
one of the issues that people have is that the sterilization process of a filter, it's quite aggressive. Normally you blast some steam through it, hold it for a period of time, get rid of the condensate, and then use it. So that gives you a sterile filter. One of the issues regulators have is that if you don't pre-sterilize it and you use your filter, if you don't integrity test it after the sterilization process, which could damage the filter in theory, and then you use the product, you put product through, the product could hide some small holes in the filter that were caused by the sterilization process.
Right.
So PUPSIT is pre-use, post-sterilization integrity testing, PUPSIT, and it's trying to put that in place so that you can say, I've done this aggressive, important process on my filter, and I know it's integral before I use it when the product goes through. So the bit that you've got to understand, I guess, is a lot of people will do integrity testing away from the line. So you have to disconnect your filters, you walk it over to a machine, you do the integrity test, and then you put it back, which obviously breaks sterility. So it's a technical headache. It can be done. I wouldn't say it's easy. Retrofitting it is a problem. New process. Before I joined Ecolab, we worked on a process where we were going to put PUPSIT in place, a retrofitting exercise. It can be done, but it's not easy. And some people will argue that the risk is minuscule to non-existent, but I believe the regulators do have some evidence going, it could happen.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's kind of the PUPSIT. I'm not by any means a real expert on this, so some people are probably cringing in their seats, but that it'll do for me.
Well, it'll do for me as well, given that I knew nothing about it before we started this conversation. So, all right. Now, you obviously got the European event, and the link for that will be above here so people can find out more and sign up for that. But also, as I started off this conversation, you have your annual conference as well every year, which is very well attended, I know, because I was fortunate enough to be there last year in Nottingham, and it's a very, very good event. So as I've got you here, when is this year's Pharmig annual conference, and where is it in terms of, is it still in Nottingham or have you moved?
No, it'll be in Nottingham this year again, and it's going to be on the 21st and 22nd of November. So slightly different from normal. It's going to be a Tuesday and Wednesday event, and we haven't got that much to tell you. We've got some confirmed speakers. We're hoping the FDA will be there in presence. We're approaching the MHRA. They are a little light on inspectors at the moment, so I'm not holding out my hopes there. But and again, we'll be doing the usual stuff. We'll be doing non-steriles and steriles, so it's not just a steriles event. You witnessed it last year. We normally do a big event in the evening between the 2 days, and again, the whole purpose of that is just networking, getting people to have a little bit of fun. It's not just a dull conference.
It certainly isn't. And actually, on the afternoon where everyone's picking up their prizes, it certainly wasn't dull then either. So, look, well, David, it's January. It's lovely to see you. I mean, it's, I hadn't realised, but it has been 9 months since I last saw you. So it's good to see you again anyway. Good luck with the event in Netherlands. And hopefully I'll see you at a couple of events in the second half of this year. Hopefully maybe at Pharmalab and maybe obviously at Pharmig as well. And until then, look after yourself. So there you go, viewers. If you would like to know more about Pharmig and the European event and also the annual event, then check out the links above the video. If you've got any questions,
I was just going to say, above the event, if you could just put, if they quote Rizwan to Pharmig, then we'll give them 50% off the current rates.
Well, there you go. We didn't even discuss this. So there you go. If you use my name, lucky you, then you'll get 50% off if you do that. So that's great. Thank you for doing that, David. But we'll put that in the post as well, so you know that's there for you. But if you've got any questions based on what David said about Annex 1 and so on as well, because it is all about microbiology and learning new stuff, then feel free to put the comments below the video. And then I'm sure David will be only too happy to answer them as well. So look, David, as I said, it's lovely to see you, my friend. Enjoy what's left of the summer. I hope it goes really well in the Netherlands, and I hope to
Thank you
see
very
you at the
much.
show not too distant. Viewers, thank you for watching as always. And until next time, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.